is up, everybody? Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Tennessee 2's Disc Golf Podcast. Very glad to have you. Um, my name's Ethan Jenkins, and I'm joined here by my co host, Daniel Bacon. Go ahead and take it away.
Hello, everybody. How's it going today on this very cold day? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it was a little warmer today than the last couple of days, but been snowy, man. It's been snowy.
It has been.
Um, I'll just run you guys through a couple of things we're going to go through today, and maybe we'll get through some other topics, and maybe we won't, but we'll see. For starters, we are going to go over the PDGA majors. As we went over the Pro Tour last week, we're going to touch some of the majors this week, including both the FPO and the MPO side. We won't do too much touching on the amateur and college side, though. And then after we touch on that, we're going to touch on a tournament that both of us are going to be playing this weekend. And along with that, we're going to give you guys our current in the bags. I think it'll be interesting to see how our bags play out. My bag is actually going to be set up not only for this week, but for a tournament next week as well. And Ethan might have a couple of those coming up as
Right.
well.
I've got a
Um,
double header this weekend.
yeah, and I'll be interested to see how that might change. Maybe about halfway through the year, we'll do another in the bag and see
Right.
how much our bags have changed, if any.
Yeah.
I think that'll be interesting to see. And then after that, we're going to go through a little bit of disc golf news. There's not a whole lot going on, but there's
Right.
been a little bit of Twitter drama and some new announcements in terms of some players in the bags and some new Tour Series discs.
Right.
So yeah, it'll be exciting. But yeah, we're both very excited for our tournament this weekend, and we're pretty excited to touch on that with you guys. But for starters, let's go ahead and touch on the majors this year. Um, First and foremost, April 14th through the 17th, we're going to have our first ever look at the Champions Cup. Champions Cup is going to be played down in Georgia at I'm totally drawing a blank right
Yep.
now.
You drew a blank.
Jackson,
Yeah.
WR Jackson.
Yeah.
Um, I, for one, am super excited. It's a new major that we get to add to the tour. I don't think there's any way that you can go wrong with adding new majors. I'm sure there's going to be some hiccups this year, but it's a
Yeah.
beautiful course.
It's the
Really
inaugural,
excited.
It's
Exactly.
you know, I I don't see it as a bad thing. Some people do. I do not. But I'm excited for it as well. I mean, more disc golf. You can't go wrong with more disc golf. John
Yeah.
says, "You ready for that, bro?" He said, "I ain't throwing a shot until Saturday morning." Yep, he's gonna be he's gonna be ready with the putter. I see, putting those
That
lunas
is
to
it.
work.
Hey, man.
Are you
Look, I
playing? What division are you playing, John?
yeah, how's it going? Yeah, how's it going, chat? Feel free to keep interacting with us.
Yeah.
Send us your thoughts if you guys have any questions. Let us know while we keep kind of going through this stuff. But
Hmm.
yeah, super excited for the Champions Cup. Again, and we're going to touch on this a little bit here in a few minutes, but I was a little disappointed when they decided to go with the rover format for the Champions Cup. I was really hoping it would be more
Just
like
stay there.
USDGC and find a site that works really good for it and kind of continue to push that. So, um, but we'll go into that here after we finish this before we talk about
Yeah.
our tournament. Um, and then let's see, the next major actually isn't going to be for quite a while. That's going to go all the way down to let's see, that'll be the U.S. Women's Disc Golf Championship.
Right.
It looks like, yeah, that's going to be June 30th through July 3rd. That's going to be in Madison, Wisconsin this year. I haven't had a chance to look at the courses they're going to be using this year, but let's see. Doesn't look like they have a hot link for it right now. Um,
Right.
it'll be interesting. I kind of don't. I really wish that they would bring the USWDGC and combine it with the USDGC
Yeah.
and hold them together at the same time. I think it's a little funky that they don't hold them at the same time, and I think it blocks up the schedule for the FPO side in terms of the Pro Tour.
Yep. I agree.
To be completely honest, so I really wish that they would do that. Um, I'm sure it's really fun. Last year, they played three of my favorite courses in California. I got to be completely honest, I played all of them. They're beautiful courses, and they're courses that we normally wouldn't see, especially on the MPO side.
Right.
So it's cool to get some of those courses that aren't considered MPO championship level courses
Mm-hmm.
highlighted. But at the same time, I think that there should be a certain level of prestige for a course based when you talk about a major.
Right. Do you
So,
think there's going to be some really low scores going on at those courses, since they're not necessarily like pro level courses?
not necessarily.
Yeah.
Um, when I Here, we'll pull up the WDGC courses from last year,
The WDGC.
and let's
What's up,
see
Ben? How
see
are
what
you?
we kind of came up with.
Waiting.
So,
And hello,
um,
Sophie.
the first place that they played was called Auburn Regional Park.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's not super crazy difficult, but it does have a ton of really, really thick manzanita. If you get in that manzanita at all, you are
See,
going to be scrambling
I have
real
no
hard for
idea.
the whole round.
I have no idea what that even is.
Yeah, manzanita is just kind of like it's halfway between a bush and a tree,
Oh, okay.
but it's a lot of people will trim manzanita almost like you would think of trimming like a hedge bush.
Okay,
You
yeah.
can make crazy shapes, but the manzanita out there is super thick, very big. It needs to be trimmed consistently. And if you lose a disc in there, there's no way to throw out of it. You're basically just trying to
The
get
pitch
it
out.
5 feet out and then make your next throw.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous. Paige Pierce posted 6 under at that course, which is very admirable.
Right.
It's a par 56, 6,000 feet. Um, Given what I remember when I played that last, and I can't really remember if that has multiple tees or baskets, but from the layout that I remember, that's a good score. And not a great score, but a good score.
Right.
Round two, they played Shady Oaks Park. And Shady Oaks Park is really kind of a very long and like turning course. The distance doesn't really tell you that it's a long course. It's par 55, 5,900 feet, but it's really long in terms of air shots. Um, so most of these girls that played really well at this course were the girls with the power. You saw Paige, Haley, Ella,
Right.
um,
They kind of
and
strived there.
Kona. Yeah, they all had very, very good scores out there because they're longer air shots.
Yeah.
Um, so they did really well. And then the last course was the Rockland disc golf course at Johnson Spring Park, and I've actually only played this one once, and I cannot remember it for the life of me. Um, Except that it's very open. It's very park-like. So like pedestrian park-like. So
Right.
you get a lot of longer, deeper shots. Again, big bombers tend to have a
To
lot
do
better
well.
chance.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's no question in my mind that that really played into the top three there being Paige, Haley, and Ella. But I mean, the truth of the matter is that the average for Paige Pierce, she shot a 22 down for the whole weekend, and that average rating was still only 976. So that tells you
Right. That the course
they're
didn't.
they're
Yeah.
low level still,
Yeah.
and I'd really like to kind of see. Um, I'd like to see a little bit more out of it for
Right.
me, and I think that kind of plays into maybe combining them and letting both divisions play their USDGC at Winthrop.
Right.
Um, let's see, check in with chat here real quick. Um, Somebody in chat's asking what courses do you really want to play that are on the pro tour. My two courses that I really want to play are Toboggan and the MVP Open Maple Hill. Those are my
Yeah.
like those are my courses. Toboggan, I'm sure would eat me alive because I don't have the distance for a lot of the shots required there. I mean, hole one is instantly going to send me to a 6 or a 7
Yeah.
just by itself. because I know I'm throwing a high backhand turnover that's going to either flip into the woods on the right or it's going to stall OB to the left, and that's going to be an instant six. So,
Yeah.
um, but those are my courses. What about you?
See, is Fountain Hills Green Mountain Championship with Fox Run? Is that what Fountain Hills is?
Um,
I know Fox
mm,
Run is
mm,
part of Green Mountain.
no, I don't think.
I don't remember Fountain Hills. I can't. I know that name, but I cannot remember for the life of me where it's at. And then Ben says Idlewild. I would love to play Idlewild. That would I would love it, and it's not that far away from us. Um, yeah, Idlewild, and then probably Maple Hill. I,
Yeah,
oh, okay. Fountain Hills is
yeah,
in
no, I think
Arizona. Okay.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's Brewster and Fox Run
Brewster. That's
at
right.
at Smuggler's Notch.
Yeah, those would
Um,
be cool to play too. I'd like to play that whole northeastern swing. I
yeah,
think that would
yeah,
be sick.
really. I mean, most of that. I'd like to play Idlewild. I've never played Idlewild, obviously, being originally from the West Coast.
Right.
But I don't know. Maple Hill just like
It's. I
holds
mean,
a special place in my
it's the
heart
number
for
one course, for a reason. You know.
yeah,
Now,
yeah.
will it keep it? You know, because what's the course? The Yamza or Yarva is like always like they're always going back and forth.
Yeah, I'd have to look at it, but I believe you're right.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest, I totally kind of forgot about this one because it's not on the Pro Tour yet. So disclaimer, asterisk on this one, but
Yeah.
Eagles Crossing.
Mm,
I want to play Eagles
that would
Crossing
be
as well.
cool. I mean, it's $1 million course. That's the
Yeah, I mean,
first of its kind. So
I'd imagine that there's no chance it doesn't make it onto the Pro Tour in at
eventually,
least a Silver Series within the next 2 years.
that is
Um,
not even a hot take at all. I really
no,
believe that that will happen.
yeah,
I really do.
absolutely.
Um,
But yeah, so it was
let's go
uh,
ahead and
m-
preview the Shelbyville Freeze a little bit.
we still got a couple more
Are
real
you gonna go
quick.
through all the majors? Okay, I got you.
All the majors, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Anything except for college and AMs.
Right.
Um, so
What month is
July
Worlds in?
Worlds is in August this year,
So they moved it back a couple months.
a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
it was in
but
June last year.
part of that comes from hopefully adding the European Open back.
Mm-hmm.
This one has a big asterisk next to it. We're not sure that it's going to happen. Omicron is kind of putting a dent in the hopes that it's going to happen, but hopefully we can get it all under reins.
Right.
Again, July 21st to the 24th, there's still a possibility. If I had to pick one course nationally that I really wanted to play, it would be the Beast in Nokia, Finland. So,
Yeah, that would be cool.
uh, and Europeans in terms of disc golf are a force to be reckoned with for a reason, and the Beast
Mm-hmm.
is a perfect example of a course that's the reason why. So absolutely going to be a fantastic event. I really hope that it goes through this year. Really missed it the last couple of years.
Yeah. Do I think
Um,
it'll
af-
really be good.
yeah, after that, then we're going to see Worlds. Worlds is going to be August 30th through September 3rd, so it's really late this year. That's
Yeah.
going to be in Emporia, Kansas. So we know what to expect at Emporia. Nothing new, nothing scary.
Supposedly new layout
Um,
though, so they don't see the
yeah,
same layout twice. Um, but did you see where the Pro Tour posted that there will not be a Pro Tour the same as a major in
yep,
2023? And
yes, and
I
we will
brought
talk
that
about
up
that. We'll talk
the
about
week
that as
before.
soon as we finish going over the majors,
All
because
right.
that is a huge topic. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the last thing before we go over our tournament
All
here
right.
coming
All
up
right.
this
All
week.
right.
So yeah, Emporia, we know what to expect. Maybe a new layout so that they got some new shot shapes and stuff like that. But we know what to expect. There's going to be wind,
Mm-hmm. And a
and
lot of
there's going
it.
to be big, big bombs out there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so my only qualm with Emporia as being the World Championships is that it favors big bombers so heavily.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that it's going to be pretty hard for me to see anybody but like
Eagle.
Paul, Ricky, Eagle, um, Calvin, and James really competing
Yeah.
heavily at this event. Um, Obviously, there'll be a few others that are in that just a slight tier below, like KJ, where he's got all the power, but sometimes he lacks the control on that
Right.
power. But it's going to be the top 10 big arms that are really going to compete there.
I
It's the only
agree.
downfall. But other than that, it's going to be a great event, guarantee it.
Mm-hmm.
And then not much new to expect from USDGC besides some new T pads, maybe a few different lines. And then they're going to change the shape of the OBs on every hole like they do pretty much every year,
Right.
which is fun. I like that they find a way to spice up that course every single season.
Yep.
And I think that's important, especially when you talk about a course that
Favors big
is
arms like
played.
that too.
Yeah, and a course that's played every year for this major.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's super important. It's very similar to like what you see in the biggest events of golf. You know, one of the most important things in a golf tournament is how they move the cup around on those greens. And the cup layouts that you see from last year, not going to be the same that you see the next year.
Right.
You're going to have to attack every green a little bit different. The green speeds are going to be different every year. Conditions change a little bit faster on a golf course than disc golf, but keeping those courses that you hit every single year fresh, especially in the majors because they're so coveted compared to the Pro
Mm-hmm.
Tour, is super important for me.
Yeah.
Um, so, with that, talking about that difference between um, visiting places twice and having solid set places, um, go ahead and kind of go over what they talked about for 2023.
Yeah. So the Pro Tour, um, they heard the people and they were like, and the players, and they were like, "There's no sense in playing a Pro Tour the same year as a major at the same course. Even if you change the course, it's still the same course, and it kind of takes away from that prestige on either event, you know."
Right.
And they decided that in 2023 that will no longer be happening, and that could also kind of hurt um, some of the venues, because they're like maybe
Right.
they wanted to bid on you know getting a major or worlds or whatever, and they don't want to lose their spot in the pro tour. you know
Yeah. And, one of the things that I think, I like the move given where disc golf is at currently, but I
Mm-hmm.
don't think it should be the final step.
Yeah.
Um, I think moving towards the concept of building disc golf parks for majors should not be overlooked because I know a lot of players are asking for that specifically. With Champions Cup kind of coming to WR Jackson this year, there were
Right.
people who were talking about why not expand that area and really get a good disc golf park in Georgia and
Yep.
something that could support Champions Cup year in and year out. Give them some new looks, give them a couple of courses similar to like maybe what the Smugs has kind of
Right.
become. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I think that when push comes to shove, I really hope it pushes in that direction because that's what it should be personally. Um, but it's really hard to kind of push that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My biggest downfall for going through this rover style and only doing that course once throughout the year is that it takes away from a lot of the sponsors that put together these tournaments on the pro tour. Yes, it gives opportunity for new locations to make it onto the pro tour year in and year out, and that's really exciting. But what about um, any of these tournaments if you go for like Deglow,
Yeah.
if they go because that's what it's going to be um, Toboggan for Worlds next year,
That's what they
or no, it's
said.
it's for
Uh,
Champions Cup is Toboggan next year, right?
Smuggler's
It's one of
Notch
the two.
is yeah. Smuggler's Notch is Worlds next year, and
And
Toboggan is Champions Cup.
but that means that Discraft loses their biggest sponsored tournament next year. And although you see these sponsorships filter into the majors,
Mm-hmm.
they're not primarily sponsored by any one company
Right.
in these majors. So that's a huge hit for a company like
It is.
Discraft to go out there and say, we don't have our biggest tournament next year,
Yeah.
you know? And that's disappointing for me. And that's why I think that there's got to be a line drawn eventually. However, there is a push in the right direction, and I
Yeah.
do appreciate that.
Yeah, they heard the outpour, and they did something about it. They
Yeah.
seem like they're always trying to put their front foot forward, and keep on moving in the right direction, and I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah. So I would say when I look at it, they're making good decisions for how to fix things, especially when you talk about what's coming up next year.
Yeah,
But sometimes they lose the ability to have some foresight into how that affects people 5 years from now.
right.
And I hope that that's where they kind of start moving in that. Well, what
Yeah,
helps us next year, but is still going to be the right thing 5 years from now as
yeah,
well.
and give
That's
them
the
a
hope.
couple years of running things, and I think you'll start seeing that more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on from that, let's head over to our tournament coming up this week.
Oh, and several people in the Middle Tennessee area are going to be hitting this tournament up, the Shelbyville Freeze, this
Yeah,
weekend. It is
going to be
Saturday.
hosted at HV Griffin Park
Yep.
in Shelbyville, Tennessee. Um, Generally, it's from what I've seen at least, it's an 18-hole course that they're generally using, and they are expanding it to 20. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to talk to the TD when we get out there and see if that's a permanent change or if that's just a temporary to add a couple extra holes.
Right. I'd say it's
So,
probably just temporary.
yeah. Um, so got a couple of layouts. I know last year they did a very similar tournament, and that was to actually pay for the addition of the long baskets that will be used in round one
Mm-hmm.
for this tournament this year. So last year was a pure fundraiser, and this year it's actually going to be a sanctioned event. So we're going to have rated rounds.
Yep.
Pretty excited about that.
I'm super excited.
I can't wait. And then for me coming up the week after, we'll touch on it a little more next week. But I also have the Knoxville Ice Bowl coming up, which is also a charity fundraiser. If you guys check in your areas, play your ice bowl, your local ice bowl. Every ice bowl generally that I've seen always donates their profits to charity.
Mm-hmm.
Most specifically, their they're generally like food banks or something along those lines. So it's a great event, really fun. Generally, the earliest uh, big tournament of your local area's season. But yeah, guys, go out, check, see if you can find an ice bowl in your area that hasn't happened yet. I know I've seen a few states and a few areas have already done their ice bowls, but some of those should be really fun.
Right.
Um, we we have a wonderful lineup in our Ice Bowl this next coming week, including Chris Dickerson's going to be out there.
Yeah.
He's pretty much used it as his preseason opener for about 5 years in a row now.
Yep. And
So
that's awesome. You know.
so
Um.
yeah.
So chat. We have John in chat, and he's going to be playing this weekend as well. I believe MA3, as well as I'm pretty sure. And he says he's never played there. He's going in blind. And let me tell you, all right, this is not a difficult course. I would say 1,000 rated round would probably be like a 13 or 14 down there. Yeah, probably a 13 or 14 down. Um, that
Yeah,
would
let's
so it's a
I don't know what the
very
ratings
very attackable course.
yeah, I don't know what the ratings look like for the new layout, obviously, but the old layout, if I remember correctly, 13 down was scratch.
Yeah. So
But
yeah.
I'll look here real quick.
All right. But yeah, it's a very attackable course. A lot of short holes, a lot of chip shots, as we would say. Just like you throw your favorite mid range, overstable mid range, or really understable mid range, and
Yep.
let it roll. You know. So your boss is going to be playing too. Very nice, very nice. I'm
S-
excited for the tournament. I really am.
SSE is almost exactly 13 down,
Almost 13 down.
approximate, and that's obviously there's some give and take. The longer layout's going to play a little bit more difficult in the
Yeah,
woods, but there's also a couple of par fours that are probably going to be very gettable from what I've seen. There's two par fours on the back nine that are under 600 feet.
right.
So those should be gettable with a good line. And then there is one, if I remember correctly, I thought I saw one that was going to be closer to 800 or 900 feet, which could take a couple of pretty big throws to
Yeah, I
to get out there. But
I'm pretty sure that's hole 17. Um, hole 17 is a bomb. Um, yeah, it's a bomb. But
yeah, 17 is pushing 700 feet.
yeah,
So for me, is that one going to be fairly open? I haven't had the
it's
chance to
open.
play it. I
It's
get my
all
first.
open. There's like 2 trees in the way, and that's
Yeah,
it.
so for me, it's going to be probably a couple of flip up hyzers
Yep,
to get
that's
out there,
yeah.
and hopefully I can put myself within 30 feet on the second one.
Throw 1,000 feet. I'm good. Hey, hey, bro,
Yeah,
you throw 1,000 feet. You need a manager. You know,
yeah.
I can handle this.
If you
But
throw 1,000 feet, John, you should really consider going out to the desert. Go
yeah,
out to Utah. You could probably beat Dave Wiggins' record.
yep. There you
Just
go.
saying.
I love it.
But yeah, so we're gonna do something a little bit kind of exciting. A lot of times we do some stuff where we talk about building a bag with some certain companies and stuff like that. This
Hmm.
week we're actually going to show you what's actually
In our bags.
in our bag. He said takes 4 throws. Oh yeah.
That's where I'm at, buddy. That's where I'm at.
Hey, it depends on the day. I could get there in 3 if it's open. If it's wooded, it's taken 4.
I
Um,
feel you.
but yeah, we're going to show you guys what's in our bag for this upcoming tournament. For me, you can assume that what's in my bag is going to be what I play with on my next tournament as well, which we'll talk about next week.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm going to let you go first. We'll
Okay.
go low
Um,
speed to high speed. Start with your
low
putters and
speed
work
to
your way
high
up.
speed. So for me, I putt with Axiom proxies. These proxies here. Oh, yep. Oh, lighting, lighting. There we go. Proxies. Um, I have this one, which is more overstable. Uh, this one is neutral, and this one is understable. A little bit understable. It's for my Anheuser putts. Um, and I love the proxies. They're beadless. They are over molded, but uh, I enjoy them a lot. I really like the proxies. Um, and then I have one of the new Ricky Harps. Um, this thing is a workhorse for upshots.
Mhm.
Um, then I have my Castaplast Cax K1 plastic. Um, actually, it's K2 plastic. I'm sorry. I really thought it was K1, but yeah, it's K2 plastic. JK yards all the way. No, not for me.
Get out of
Get out of
here.
here. No, but yeah. So I don't carry a lot of mid ranges. I use the Castaplast Cax and the Harp, um, and both of those are pretty overstable. But if I need something to flip up, I use my flippy putter. Um,
Yep.
and then I go into the fairway drivers. So I will show you a couple that I've added to the bag just this week from Discmania. I've got an Evolution Instinct. This thing is 100% making my bag. It's 7502, and it is
Nice.
literally a gap finder. I can make it through anything. This thing is so straight, and it's just got a little baby hookup. No skip, really. It just settles. It's so nice. Um, so if you're out there looking for something that's just going to go really straight, go get you an Instinct.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a good non-Innova option for people who may have used to like the T-Bird and are moving away from Innova like us.
yeah. Um, I've still got a couple of the Innova. Um,
I have way too much Innova in my bag, but it's not getting thrown as often.
right. Let's see. Okay, so let's see here. On my fairways, I actually keep them pretty understable. Um, I've got this Discraft XL. It is probably the most understable one that I have. Um, other than my F2, which I'm not entirely sure where it is. Oh, here it is. Yeah, F2.
Nice.
It's not originally supposed to be understable, but this thing is beat in, very beat.
Yep,
Um,
yep.
then I have this new Essence. Um, it is an 8.6 -2.1, and it's pretty domey,
Little pop top.
little pop top. You know, I haven't got to throw it a whole lot yet. Hopefully, I get to throw it more this week to see if it's gonna make the bag or not. And then T-Bird 3 as my overstable fairway, or kind of just a stable to overstable fairway. Then a Firebird. Um, Not a Sexton Firebird. I got all the Sexton Firebirds on the wall. It's just a stock run Firebird. And then I have Passion. Passion is just really straight. It likes to fly straight. Um, so I like my fairway drivers a lot, and I like my distance drivers. I'm trying to narrow down some of these distance drivers, but you know, we're a work in progress. So there's that. I'm currently bagging 8 distance drivers. I do not need that many distance drivers, but been working them out, trying to see what's good, what's not. Start from most understable. Would be my Falcon, my Millennium Falcon. This is my roller disc and my Super Hyzer flip disc. Great disc. And then, which you would think this would be more flippy, but it's not, and it's a Champion Mamba. It's very flippy, but it's a crushed forehand disc for me for my Hyzer flip ups. Then I have a Streamline Trace.
Ooh.
And this thing is wicked in the woods. It is so good. It I can throw it a little hyzer, flips up, rides a little to the right, or I can throw it straight and it still just rides a little to the right and comes out. And it's like it just gets up to flat or it'll stay on flat. And I really like that. I'm a huge fan of that disc. And this is a new baby that I have added to the lineup. And this thing is sick. This thing is awesome. It's an Axiom Tenacity. And
yeah, I've heard some things.
It's max distance for me. Like I love this disc. So it's gonna become a workhorse for sure. Then the next one would be the crank. I have a Z crank, which is just straight, rides a little to the left. Beautiful. Comes out. Then the Onyx, which everybody knows an Onyx. And a Force. Upside down. Yeah, a Force.
Don't worry, half of my stamps aren't even visible anymore.
Then I have the the Sharon Gun Ballista Pro and a Thunderbird.
All right.
Technically a fairway, but it got pulled out of the bag last.
Maybe it's
yeah, and
it's that one that sits on the edge of the bag. You only pull it out for specific shots.
Yeah, I have
because it's hard to get out of the bag.
I have a couple in the top of the bag that not sure if they're gonna make it. I've been working the Destroyer out, trying to get it out of the bag, and then the Thrasher. Not sure if it's gonna make it.
No,
but yeah, that's my bag.
Yep. I completely
You forgot
understand.
one. What did I forget? Oh, you're right. I did forget it. This thing, my Ezra Nuke. This thing is a workhorse for me right now. So between the Tenacity and the Nuke, really, that's my distance drivers, and I could really like play a whole round with just those. I think.
All right.
But yeah, that's my bag. Big boy
Yeah, you're
Nick,
pretty
I got you. Yep.
pretty comfortable with the lines you're going to be able to hit with that in Shelbyville.
Oh yeah. Um, the harp, the T-Bird 3, and the Cax, and that tenacity is pretty much all I'll throw out there.
Yep. Yep.
It's there's some long hookups, there's some straight shots, and then there's a lot of short hookups. Um,
There you go.
yep,
All
and
right.
that's it.
Well, yeah, I guess we'll get started with me. We'll
Yep.
start with my putting putters. And these are always the most subject to change, but my putting putters are going to be a Luna. Um, this is going to be the blend plastic, so the actual Macbeth designed blend. Um, People have been pretty popular on the actual jawbreakers that have been coming out this last year in some like special edition runs,
Yeah.
but this one's just a little more tacky and soft.
Yeah.
Um, this one for me is pretty well beat in, um, and you know it's it's working its way out of my bag, and I'll kind of explain why in a little bit. And then my other putting putter right now is the P2. This is the newer one, not the old mold, so it's a little bit different. This one is generally what I'm going to use when I have to straddle putt, get something between the legs, get it up high, and let it nose down back towards the basket specifically.
Right.
It's got a little bit more glide, and when it gets up to flat, it's going to hold the flat a little bit longer than the Luna will. However, the Luna holds my hyzer putt quite a bit better
Right.
overall. The Luna has a better tendency to, when it comes out of my hand, especially from longer distances, it kind of rides instead of fading out really early like the P2 will.
Right.
However, I believe that after next weekend, as I start preparing for our doubles tournament, I might be making the switch to the fee.
Okay.
Um, Not
That's a
sure,
shocker. All
but
right.
I think I'm gonna grab a couple of them and get putting with them. I've been working on my putting a little bit, and the fee's gonna fit a little bit more in my hand, a little bit like the Luna will. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully it'll. I as I've started to change my putt and I'm starting to get really comfortable with my stroke,
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding that these do not fit my stroke as well as I wanted them to. The
Right.
Luna really fit my deep hyzer putt that I'm starting to try to work out of and get a moderate hyzer. Um,
Right.
but the Luna still definitely outdoes the P2 for me there.
Yeah. John says
Um,
choice of champions.
Voice of champions.
Choice of champions.
But I'm not sure. It's very possible that I will end up hating the fee and going right back to Luna, maybe grabbing a couple of fresh Lunas because that one's pretty beat in, and
I've
it'll
been
probably
seeing a
fit
lot of
fit a
rubber
little bit
blend
better.
Lunas out
Yeah.
there.
So start getting into my throwing putters. I have an R Pro Pig. This one's really old and beat in, but it is still trusty and overstable. This one in particular, I used to putt with it a lot when I wasn't that great of a putter because the plastic was soft and very grabby and it
Mm-hmm.
really hung on to chains. I didn't get a lot of spit outs with it. But it has kind of switched to a throwing putter for me specifically because of the lack of glide. So if I'm just beyond what I call jump putt range for me personally, I start throwing this because it's a one glide and it's sticky, very soft and sticky. And I know that I can just kind of soft backhand one up there and it'll just finish right towards the basket and it'll grab the ground and stick.
Right.
It is also something that I will straddle putt with if I have a really dangerous backdrop, whether that's a water backdrop, which we have on a couple of courses
Mm-hmm.
out here. And then if I have a really bad steep hill, because again, that one glide's going to send it straight into the ground, and the hope is that it's going to grab. The only
Right.
danger in it is because it drops so fast. If I hit a root, every now and again it'll pop up on its edge.
Right.
Other than that, the newest addition to my bag in the putters is this Tour Series Luna,
Okay.
which I've really needed a good flip up backhand putter, and
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been able to find it. I have another putter in my bag, which I'll go over next, But I find that when I try to throw that one hard, it's a little too tacky, and I end up grip locking it fairly often, even with a fan grip. So Luna, good flip up for me. Depending on the angle that I get it out, I can get it to ride right and just finish to the left slightly. It will hyzer for me. It'll hold a hyzer if I give it to it. And it'll actually dive right if I give it an anhyzer. So it's moderately stable. It's a line holder for my arm speed, which is above average, technically. But for like slower arm speeds, it's definitely going to be more understable
Or
or
overstable.
overstable, excuse me. Um, and then I have for my other putter here is going to be an Envy, and this is going to be in the Electron firm plastic. It is the overmold. Um, Technically, it doesn't really have a bead, although I think I would consider it a micro bead because of the overmold. It feels
Right.
like. Yeah, Jesse, I like that stamp too. Um, but like I said, so for me with putters, when I throw them, I have to fan grip them because the rims are too deep, and I automatically grip lock with a power grip or even a modified power grip. So I've started fan gripping them, and I find that it's so tacky on the bottom. I mean, you can even hear it, like
Yeah.
how tacky it is. And even if I loosen my grip and then I end up early releasing, or I grip lock because it's too sticky. So what I've actually started using this for, and it's a beautiful disc for it, is high arcing backhand anhyzers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for you guys who don't know, I don't throw forehands. I'm actively always working on it, but it's something I've been trying to do for a lot of years, and I just can't really get proper because of some old wrist surgeries that I've had that make range of motion very difficult and cause me to roll my wrist. So I'm always trying to find a new form that'll help. Maybe I can get a forehand working by next year that I'm comfortable with, but for now, I really got to trust backhand shots
Mm-hmm.
when I can. So backhand anhyzers, they really like to get up there and then kind of slowly pan and flatten out. Never really comes back from it though.
I feel like we've seen that shot from an envy before.
Yeah, it's almost like that's happened before. Um,
On the big stage.
yeah, this disc comes in and out of my bag. It will not be in my bag this week, but it will be in my bag next week. And this is a Rock 3, Super Beta in Rock 3.
Yeah, it's not a rock.
And this this uh this has one purpose in life, and this is to hyzer flip and hard turn to the right. And it never fights out. Um, at my arm speed, at least, it never fights out unless I've got like a screaming tailwind. It might flatten up and give me a little bit of fade, but this has one shot for it specifically, and it won't even be in my round or in my bag both rounds next week. It'll literally only be in one round for one particular shot. And then I have another one. I'm going to skip over towards a distance driver because this is not usually in my bag either. Um, this is a G Star turn,
Star.
and this has one shot, and that is a high backhand turnover. I can kind of hyzer flip it up high, let it turn right, kind of what you see some of the real big stars do when they try to go over the top.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole goal is just to get a good, hard, high right hand turn out of it and then finish either forward or come back a little bit left if I hit it right. So again, it's a disc that's literally in there for one hole, one very specific hole. Um, get into my actual throwing mid ranges. We'll start with a rock. Um, I use this for two things. It doesn't throw like a traditional rock. It's not very overstable. It's actually very flat, and it just goes straight, straight, straight. No matter how hard I throw it, I dare not ever throw this in a headwind. I would throw the pig over this if I have to, just
Right.
because of that. But it's slower than all of my other mid ranges, so I can take some speed off of it, and I can get it to kind of just sit on the ground and slide up as opposed to skipping. Or the other thing that I will use it for because of that beaded rim, it actually gives it a really good hyzer skip. So if I need something that I'm just going to throw straight into the ground and get it to flare skip around a tree, hopefully land up near a basket. So that's kind of like it's a scramble disc for me.
Right.
It's used for very specific shots. Um, my next three mid ranges are all going to be very similar to each other. They're all actually pretty much the same stabilities out of the box, but they're all beat in a little bit different and have some very characteristic flight paths. I have a Colorado Stamp Discmania MD3. This is one of the really old ones, not one of the newer ones. So this one actually has a flight number path of 5501. However, it's beaten pretty well, so it's actually more of a 55 -10 if I juice it, and
Right.
then 5500 if I get it up soft. It's just going to kind of hit flat and just maybe give it a little soft finish to the left. But if I hit it hard like I try to, this is my turnover. So if I have a backhand line where I need to flip it up to flat and just let it ride right all the way to the ground, that's going to be this disc for me. And then I have a Claymore, and this is a Frostline Claymore. They don't make this anymore, but the Frostline was the way to go. So much better than the Opto, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And this one does kind of the same thing, but it has a little bit more of a trusted fade at the end. So this one's going to be a little bit more of a shot shape for me. It's going to get me up. The times that I generally use this one in particular is when I have a backdrop that I don't want to test.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same shot shape as the MD3. However, it's going to give me that fade off to the left if I hit it at that same speed, arm speed,
Right.
and angle. And so it's going to fade off to the left for me. It's going to keep me from getting in too much trouble by just skipping up past the basket and going down the hill, which I have at least 4 holes like that in next week's tournament. And I'm sure I'm going to have one or two in this week's tournament where I'm going to want a little bit of fade there just to keep myself out of trouble so that I don't have to scramble back or hit a 60-foot uphill putt.
Right.
Um, and then I have a brand new ESP Buzz. And this one, when it is finally beaten in, it will actually have a very similar flight path to those because as my Claymore starts to get more beat in, it's going to start losing that trusty fade.
And the buzz
And
is
then
gonna kind of take into
the
it. Yeah.
the buzz is going to come in and kind of take that spot because this flies essentially how the Claymore flew when it was brand new as well. I can flip it up and turn it right. It actually turns right a little bit harder than the Claymore does if I hit it real hard. But it's a little bit easier to control the angle out of the buzz because I can give it a steeper hyzer and trust that it'll come up to flat. But this one has a little bit of a deeper fade than the Claymore does now, and a lot more fade than the MD3. So this is my new one that I'm starting to beat in, and as the Claymore beats in all the way, that'll replace the MD, and then I will get another one that's brand new, and that'll shift the Buzz into the Claymore spot.
Right.
So that's my mid ranges. Technically, we'll start speeding it up a little bit here. I covered the mid ranges and the putters because for my arm speed, I can hit any one of those for 300 feet as long as I don't have a steep headwind. So I will be predominantly using mid ranges at Shelbyville. And I will be predominantly using mid ranges on one of the courses next week as well, all wooded. But getting into my fairway drivers, first I have a river. This is an Opto river. This one's super beat in.
I think
And
that's a
I wouldn't
gold.
even,
That's a gold line. Pretty
is it?
sure.
Might be a gold line.
Yeah, I think it's a gold line.
Yeah, you're right. It is a gold line. It's pretty beat in terms of the flight path. You wouldn't know that it was beat in by looking at it, but it flies very understable.
Mm-hmm.
For me, if I hit this hard, it's a 45-degree hyzer angle to get it to flip up to flat and ride to the right, and even steeper than that to get it to flat and hold. So this is kind of a get out of jail card for certain shots. But the 7 glide is why I keep it in the bag because I can take a little bit off, control the hyzer and the angle, and just let that 7 glide take it as far on low ceilings as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't know Shelbyville well enough to know if low ceilings are a huge
It
problem,
is.
but we have a couple of courses on our side where I have to try to hit 350
I
feet
would say
with a low ceiling.
11 out of the 18 holes has got pretty low ceilings.
but most of them I can still get with
Yeah.
mid range, right?
Yeah.
So this one's where I kind of keep that glide for the low ceiling when I have to get past 300 feet,
Yeah.
you know. So that's in there. Um, the next thing I have in there is a couple of Star T-Birds. Um, this one's really cool. Hopefully it'll come up on the camera for you. The Pig Lebowski.
The Pig Lebowski.
I literally originally kept this disc just because my last name is Bacon,
Yeah.
and why not?
Yeah.
And so basically all it is this is my understable one, this is my overstable one. Good fairway driver, both of them are going to fade at the end for me. But this T-Bird does not handle the headwind, so this one,
Right.
that's it. After that, I have um, a Millennium Orion. This one's a really new addition. It's a disc I found and have not been able to return to the owner. So unfortunately, it has become victim to my bag. And nothing crazy. It's a 9 speed with a trusty fade. It'll flip up if I hit it in a headwind, but I really use it for something I need to push straight for about 300 feet and then let it die to the left, stall,
Right.
and die. Um, so it just gives me a little bit of extra push over the T-Birds, but it's really a T-Bird shape, similar. Um, Next, I have Valkyrie. I have two of them. This one's going to be a champion. This one's going to be the one I use more often. This one's a star. This one has a pop top. Not a
Nope.
big one,
Didn't hear
but
it. But
yeah. It doesn't really pop so much anymore. It's gotten soft as I've started to use it more. But this one is more understable. This one I'm kind of using to push flat and get it turned to the right before it fades.
right.
So it's a very specific shot shape. Cannot throw this one in a headwind at all. And then this one will hit pretty much the same shapes, but I have to give it a little more angle. But this one will fight out in a headwind for me. Even if I turn it over a little too much, it's going to have a little bit more fade at the end. That being said, this used to be my main fairway slash low distance driver, and that has been thoroughly replaced by this Discraft Undertaker. A little bit less understable, but the same amount of fade,
Mm-hmm.
which I still don't really find to be true, actually. This is my dead straight disc. If I need a driver, regardless of the distance, to go dead straight, I'm using the Undertaker. It fights a headwind much better than the Valkyrie does, and it comes out of my hand better.
Right.
So very soon, you will see me add probably an ESP Undertaker, and that's going to replace the Star Valkyrie. And then I'll probably get a brand new Z um, and start working that in as this one starts to get too understable. After that, you come into some of my more distance drivers. Um, I have a big Z Onyx, a little bit more understable than the ESP Onyx that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit, not a lot. I use this one for big power hyzers. Depending on how much power I give it and where I'm trying to get, it'll either hold the hyzer and spike, or it'll actually flip up to flat and ride for a little bit before it comes down. I can power hyzer this baby 350 if I get it a really good shot out. And then my new primary distance driver is the Zeus, an ESP Zeus.
Very
Um,
nice. Very nice.
been looking to basically add a destroyer to my bag as I'm starting to move away from Innova. Um, I wanted something that flips up a little bit, but is not gonna fully turn on me and fail me. So Zeus, this is my flip up to flat distance driver. Um, Depending on the day, I've found that I can actually take this to a low ceiling and skip it up 350 feet as long as
Mm-hmm.
I hit it at the right angle because it's such a wide rim. But I also really like it on downhill shots because downhill you tend to lose your more understable discs a little bit more. You flip
Right.
it over too hard and it carries to the right because downhill is going to carry those and kind of drag it in, suck in your understable discs. So this is my big bomber, and then this will be my headwind bomber as well, because I can trust it not to flip over. Now, if I'm going absolute max distance and the wind is in my favor, I will actually be using this Shrike. This is a special edition Shrike. Can't get this stamp anywhere. This disc is actually like really hard to find now. Most Shrikes have a pop top, and this one's a flat top, or mostly a flat top. When you
Right.
talk about Shrikes, it's a flat top. And this one's more understable than the Zeus. And if I hit it right, this is kind of what I like to use when I'm going uphill,
Right.
because I can send this one uphill about 400 feet if I hit it good.
Mm-hmm.
However, this one I tend to lose going downhill unless I really put it on a hyzer and let it hit flat. After that, I have two more drivers in my bag. These are very niche discs. This is a Axiom Fireball. This
Like
is
Firebird, right?
yeah. It's this has one purpose in my bag, and that is a 260-foot spike hyzer. That is literally all it's for.
Yep.
Um, and I have it in there because around here we have 3 or 4 courses that have one hole that's a 260-foot spike hyzer. One of them is a water carry that has a big fountain on it, where most of the best players will probably throw a backhand turnover putter.
Right.
But I've found that while I can make that shot, it's not that difficult to do. Every now and again, you're going to get some really awful wind bounces from the fountain. Um, so that was when I first started throwing this, and once I figured out that I could start throwing this, I mean, I kid you not, it's 260 feet on the dot every time, no matter how I hit it. It's impossible to turn over, literally impossible. And then I have a Blizzard Boss, and this one is a water disc. That's it.
Yeah.
It's if I have a deep water carry, I use it because a lot of times you need to hit an angle as well as hitting a certain speed. And the Blizzard is so light that I can actually take a little speed off and still get the same hit in terms of disc speed. So when it releases out of my hand, it comes out as fast as a 175, but I didn't throw it as hard.
Right.
The Blizzard Boss is also a smidge more understable than the traditional boss. And that's it.
Very nice. Yeah, you
That's
went
my
into
bag.
way more detail than I
Yeah,
did. Which is probably a good thing that I didn't, because I have way more in the bag than you do right now. But
yeah.
I I'm just trying a lot of different discs right now. We shall
Well, and
see.
I don't have the luxury like you do of needing to pick discs for forehands and backhands.
That is
So
true.
for me, I really have to be very specific about the lines that I can hit,
Mm-hmm.
especially being an only backhand player,
Yeah.
um, because I have a very good tomahawk and a very good thumber. I can get those out just fine because the angle doesn't disrupt my wrist too bad. But I mean, those are very get out of jail free cards.
Right.
When I lived in Nevada, I could push those as far as any backhand because the air resistance out there is so much thinner,
Right.
that I could get the carry out of them. But out here, if I get a thumber out to 300 feet, I put in some work on
Yeah.
that throw, you know. So I've stopped throwing them so much,
Yeah.
and yeah, so I have very specific lines I got to hit, um, and there's a very specific set of discs that
Yeah.
do that.
Yep.
So
You're right.
I'm
You're right.
I'm missing one spot in my bag, which we talked about last week. We're thinking when we talked about it, I'm trying to find a disc. If you guys have any recommendations for a backhand, I'm looking for approximately a 9 speed that I'm gonna flip up to flat and get it to ride to the right with minimal fade.
Right.
And I think we came out to probably a passion
Yeah.
is gonna fit that really well
That's
after it
what the
gets beat in.
passion does for me. Um, on a backhand, but forehand, this disc is just not good. I love this disc, but it is
It's
like
just
it's. I don't know what it is about the difference in my throw from backhand to forehand, other than like the snap, the torque. you know.
Rotation.
But the
You
passion
get
just cannot hold up to the forehand the same way. If I throw it on hyzer forehand, it's fine. But um, I really like to throw my
so
forehands flat and let the disc do the work, you know?
yeah,
And
so with your forehand, you get a lot more forward momentum with
mm-hmm,
about half of the rotation rate on your forehand. It's much harder to get the disc to spin as fast on a forehand
right.
as you do with a backhand. And I'd imagine that's probably what's tripping it up.
Maybe. It might be. But I do love the disc. But it's just a backhand slow turn right and come out disc. It's kind of a just an like an average disc, what you would think it would do.
Yeah,
It's but everybody needs those kind of discs.
yeah.
I need to sell some discs. We should do that. Do that. Got like
So
120. I need to sell.
what are your expectations for
So
Shelbyville?
2 rounds, right? My goal is to shoot. Um, I'm gonna say 8 under for the tournament. That's my goal. Is 8 under for the tournament. Um, if I could reach a rating of 900 on the course, I will feel very happy.
Yeah,
Um, I'm an 849 rated player. Um, Part of that is because of the course that I did play was, you know, pretty pretty easy, um, where I got my rating. But this
it
one's
was a
gonna be,
ratings eater for sure.
yeah, this one's gonna be the same way.
Yeah,
So I hope to score a little bit better than I did at the last tournament. I'm gonna be a little bit more prepared. I know my discs a little better. Um, Hopefully, if I could do 4 under a round, I would be very happy. I know in shorts, um, when I went out there for my practice round, I shot 6 down, but I was kind of on one. My putting was really good that day, and I
right,
just I just want to average 4 down around and hope that my putting really saves me because a lot of the short par threes are very Ellish, where it's like you got to get their distance right and then hook,
right,
you know. So if you don't hook, you're looking at a 40 footer, you know,
right,
and it's like if your putting's on, you're gonna have a great scoring day. If you've got your drives right, where your distance is, I'll be using the harp and the firebird probably a lot. Um, but if you can get those skips over to the basket, um, for me a forehand, for you a turnover, and glide over.
right.
Uh, I think it could happen to where we have a lot of in circle looks. So
Yeah.
if that's the possibility that we're looking at, I hope to score well. But what about you? What's your goal?
Um, looking at this course, it's exceedingly scoreable.
Yes.
Um, Now you've seen it more than I. On 80% of the holes, it's marked as on or beyond the asphalt walking trail is OB. How
Yeah.
close are those? Are those really in
There's
play, or
only
are they
there's
very
two
bad?
there's two holes that it's in play. Um,
Okay,
uh, the way that I throw over the road once, um, with a Thunderbird and let it hook back into the basket. So that's the only time that I flirt with it. But you, as a backhand, you would have to have a nasty skip to get to the road.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that. That's
So going in blind, obviously, I'm gonna get a good one round in just to see the lines. I'm usually pretty good at creating lines the first day
mm-hmm.
and correcting those lines on a second day. So I should see enough to at least not score poorly.
Yeah,
So then my goal, if the OBs are not really in play, my main goal is to go bogey free.
yeah,
I'm not going to care too much about scoring
mm-hmm.
because from what I can see, I'm going to score.
Right.
So as long as I score and I avoid the bogeys, I will be happy.
Yeah.
Whether that comes in as a 2 down or a 6 down, um, I've
As
had
long as you're
I've had
bogey
some
free, you'll be happy.
yeah I've had some really good rounds the last couple of weeks prepping for our my tournament next week. One of the
Mm-hmm.
courses really fits up well to preparing me for Shelbyville, just because some interesting lines, very wooded, a lot of right hand, backhand turnovers. But yeah, I would say if I can go bogey free and score myself 4 or 5 birdies on each round, I would be very happy.
Yeah.
So I would say, yeah, I'd put myself probably in the 8 to 10 down range for the tournament is
Yep.
where I'd want to be.
That's yeah.
Um,
That's about what I think is. I think it'll do well there. Um, in MA3. Yeah, at least I hope.
yeah,
But
yeah.
we shall
ME3
see.
always has 1 or 2 people who kind of don't fit in their division, but
Yeah. But we'll
I'm not
find
there to.
out.
I'm not there to win, anyways. I'm there to prove to myself that I can
Compete.
compete.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. All right. So that wraps up our Shelbyville Freeze tournament preview. We went over the majors. I would like to hit that this is just going to be quick. But Haley King has come out with her signature disc. It is the Mako 3, which is what Kona's signature disc was last year. Um, I guess it's only appropriate. I kind of feel like Innova done that on purpose. Um, but obviously Haley must like the disc. Uh,
Yeah, I'd imagine there's a little bit of spite there, but
yeah,
I think in Haley's interview when she announced, she mentioned that she had thrown the Makos before.
yeah.
So
I mean that's fine. You know, it's just like eh, with Kona, that was Kona's disc. All right. Here's my opinion though. I think there's less Haley King that gets sold than Kona's. Um, because of a lot of people are spiteful of Innova right now as well. Um,
yeah,
so and I wish that I hope that it doesn't happen like that for Haley, you know. But I feel like she would have sold more if she would have chose a different disc.
um, yeah, maybe, and we'll kind of have to see how it plays out.
Mm-hmm.
Haley's definitely the kind of player that could have, more than one Tour Series disc when
Yeah,
push comes to shove. So I wouldn't be surprised if they end up adding a Tour Series driver for her as well.
and I hope they
Um,
do. I hope so.
yeah, and me as well. But yeah, I think there was a little bit of spite
Mm-hmm.
in that, and I think that's kind of a disrespectful feeling
Yeah, it's
in a
just
good
like
in a good way and a bad way.
yeah,
Um, but it's she talked about using it, so we know she likes it. It's kind of like when you step up to Chris Dickerson getting his Tour Series disc, and that ended up being the Buzz. Um, you know, the Buzz is a little bit different, but I mean, to kind of come in and be the new guy on the scene and get a Buzz,
yep,
that's big.
that is
But
huge. But um, Paige was the one that had the buzz um last year, and she said that this year she's going to work on her line, and that'll be her, kind of like
right,
Paul is with his line, and Paige. Supposedly, rumors are coming around that Paige is getting the next new disc. Um,
yeah, but Paul did an interview when Chris Dickerson did his interview at the same
yeah, on
time.
Smashbox.
Um,
Shout out to Smashbox.
and shout out Smashbox. Not a sponsor,
Yeah, no, 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 no.
but not a sponsor. But Paul hinted at the fact that he has some new stuff coming out
Mm-hmm.
this year that he couldn't talk about yet either, or that he'd hoped it would come out soon. He didn't specify
Did you
any
see where
timeline.
they dropped the signature minis from Paul
Yeah,
today?
bro, those are gonna sell so well.
They
Aluminum
will.
mini.
They will.
Oh my
They
gosh.
will sell so good.
That's a gold mine that I was surprised when I saw it. I was like, I can't believe they haven't done this sooner, actually, now that I
Yeah,
think
right?
about it.
Like what?
But but yeah. Um, and Oh, and you watched that interview too, then, so you saw that Chris is going to be putting with the Challenger
The
OS.
Challenger OS, the only player except Chandler Fry.
Yep.
Chandler Fry is also with the Challenger OS, but yeah, he said right now the Challenger OS is what's doing it for him.
Yeah, and it was a little bit of a surprise for me personally that he went overstable, but
Me too.
it feels good in his hand. That's all that
Yeah,
matters.
yeah.
Um,
It surprised me a
and
little bit too, but he said that's working for him. So
yeah, yeah, no surprise there. And then Andrew Marweed, he did his in the bag.
correct.
You can review that for us a little better than I can. So why don't you kind of touch on that
Yeah.
real quick?
So Andrew Marweed, he is putting with the Steady BLs. Um, surprisingly, not the ices. Um, a lot of people that use DGA, they really like the Steady BL ice. It's the clear plastic. He is
Right.
not using that. Um,
Doesn't surprise me.
really?
Um, no, it's the problem with those clear plastics is they're definitely very stiff. So some of your higher level putters, maybe
Mm-hmm.
who kind of tend to put a little more juice on their putts, are going to stray away from those. They're not
Right.
soft enough to putt that, especially from distance. So, and Marweed really excels in that 25 to 45 foot range.
Yeah.
So
But
I understand
yeah,
a
I
softer
can
plastic.
understand it for him. But usually you see the ice.
Right.
That's the most popular. Um, I think it might be a little harder to get a hold of too, though. Potentially. You got some stuff going on?
Yeah, caught a breeze on the back of my neck just now, and I had to look up to see if my ceiling fan was on, and it's not. So I don't know what
Well,
that is.
welcome,
It's
Ghost.
it's
Welcome,
drafty in
Ghost.
the room. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, yeah. And then the viewers at home get to see what's behind you. What's
Yeah,
behind door number one?
yeah. You'll
But
notice my practice basket isn't behind me this week. It's actually sitting in my garage.
yeah, you've been
The
putting in the work.
weather's made it. Yeah, the weather's been kind of rough, making it in terms of getting out onto the courses. Not that it's been too cold. I don't mind playing in the cold. Just grab a pack of hand warmers, and my hands will naturally warm up after 6 holes anyways because I
Hmm.
run hot. But the footing has been so bad on the courses that I'm practicing for the ice bowl that I played. You know, I've had two really good practice rounds on each course, and I'm kind of happy with that. Hopefully, I'll have some good weather next week to hit each course one more time.
Right.
Really nailed down a couple of lines on some holes I have questions on. But yeah, so in lieu of that, I've been practicing my putting in my yard
Yep.
and sitting in my garage right now to stay out of the snow that's coming tomorrow. But yeah,
Yeah. So I'm gonna jump back into Andrew Marweed's bag. Um, he has got. He doesn't have very many mid ranges, surprisingly, but I guess he's using the putters, mainly. He's throwing a squall, which is the mid ranges that he has are 6 speeds. Uh, I don't,
right.
it's like it is a mid range, but it's also kind of a fairway, slow fairway. It's what the cax is, so like I understand, but he
Yeah,
said it's more
it's
of a ceiling mid range.
it's right where you kind of get past the rounded
Yeah,
beveled edges and start hitting
the
a
more
more
pointy.
yeah
Yeah,
a
which
more
I
tapered
like that
edge.
better, myself as well. But
Did he have
he's
a rift in his
he
bag?
does not.
Wow, that surprises me.
Yep,
That's
he
like
does not.
their number one mid range.
Yep. Like I said, he's really not bagging that many mid ranges. Um,
I think that'll change too
it,
as we move across the country and when the
yeah,
tour starts making its way east.
it
I'm sure
might.
he'll have a couple more mid ranges in the bag, but he doesn't need them out on the West Coast
Yeah.
really at all.
He's got some hurricanes and then 5 hypercanes. You know, so but after that,
Yeah,
it's he's got a seems like he's got a bag that he's really been working in to have 5 hypercanes
yeah,
that are all different stabilities. I feel like he's had to really be practicing. So that's a good sign, and that's always fun to see. Um, people getting accustomed to their bag, and he was one of the earlier signings too. So he's had this time, you know.
yeah,
So I bet he's putting in the work, and I'm
yeah.
excited to see how he does.
So speaking of that,
Yep,
he played in one of the bigger preseason tournaments that happened this last weekend. Why don't we kind of go into that real quick?
yep, the one that Matty O was at down in Bay County, Florida, and Matty O put a smackdown, shooting 24 under with his first season as a West Side sponsor player.
Yep.
His first tournament, his first win, and evidently the discs have not hurt him at all because he is still undefeated at this course. Undefeated, never lost at this course in Bay
That's
County.
that's insane.
That is insane. That is absolutely insane.
Do you have the leader list pulled up for that?
I don't. I couldn't find it. I tried to find it, but I could not find it.
All right. Well, you said what he finished with a 9-stroke lead over the second
Yeah.
place finisher.
Yeah, it was 9 strokes.
That's ridiculous, man. I
Yeah, he
can't
was
even.
putting on a clinic down there.
Um, the other tournament that came about this week was a little pro am, A tier for the pro side at the Shelly Sharp Memorial down in Vista, uh, in Scottsdale, Arizona. Um, that one, Anthony Barella took home the win. He
AB.
only won by a single stroke, but Anthony Barella is one of those guys. We know he has all the talent in the world, and he just needs to
Bring out
put it
that
all together
consistency.
on every weekend. And he struggled a little bit, especially in the second round. Um, but he shot a pretty hot third round compared to the field, with the exception of two players who were pretty deep out of the running. Um, that tournament ended up going 1 through 5 was Anthony Barella. Kale LaVisca came in second after shooting a 47 on the final day, which is ridiculous at Vista. Drew Gibson came in third. Nick Newton came in fourth, and he shot a really hot final round as well. Jordan Castro came in fifth. Felt really bad for Jordan Castro.
Yeah.
um, so it was his birthday weekend. He came out, he shot bogey free all the way until the 18th hole on the final day. He
That
took
would
an
have been
OB.
crazy.
He took an OB and he couldn't make the putt to save par. I felt so bad for him. I mean, he was 6 strokes off the lead, but how good would it have felt to go out there for your first tournament
Yeah, and shoot
after
bogey free.
re-signing and shoot bogey free on his birthday weekend?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, the hottest rounds. I mean, Jacob Curtis, who he's a little bit lower rated. We might see him out on the tour a little bit this year, but he shot a 1090 rated 46 on the final day.
Yeah, that's
Um,
really good. 1090.
unfortunately, unfortunately, he took a par, an even round on day two, which only rated 975. Um, if he repeats his day one performance of 53, or even maybe a 55 on round two, he actually wins the tournament.
Yeah,
So
just putting
you
it
know one
together.
one round can define your tournament. And unfortunately, it was the bad round that
Yep.
kind of overshadowed that spectacular round he threw
Yep.
in round three.
Oh,
That
and
was the highest rated
speaking
round of the
about
weekend.
tournaments, I'm gonna go back to Matty O's and say give a shout out to that because he shot a 1077 rated first round and averaged 1042 throughout all three rounds. So yeah, some high quality disc golf going on this
Yeah.
past weekend.
So big stuff.
And speaking of weekends, you know what's coming up? The All Star Weekend.
The All Star Weekend.
Why don't you go ahead and dive into a little bit of the Twitter tweet drama that's been
All
going
right.
on?
So there's a little bit of Twitter drama. There's a couple of Twitter drama feeds that we'll kind of touch on today. But first, we'll start with the All Stars. They started announcing the lead cards for both MPO and FPO. And, well, some people kind of took offense to the MPO announcement. I'm going to pull that up real quick, actually. I should still have it right here. Your lead card for the All Stars this year is Ricky Wysocki, Eagle McMahon, Calvin Heimberg, and Paul McBeth. And they announced it the tweet literally says, "No surprises here. The top 4 players on tour in 2021 make up your All-Star lead card." And then they tweeted a picture of all 4 of those players.
Mm-hmm.
Paul immediately responded right back to them and said, "I already informed I'm not going." I kid you not, verbatim, that is exactly what he said. I like,
He's like, I've already told you guys I'm not gonna be there. Like, what else do I gotta tell you?
and Disc
That,
Golf Pro Tour replied, they kind of had to reel back a little bit. They said, "This announcement is just a celebration of the qualified All Stars. Participants may vary, and the final list will be announced soon."
right.
So here's the thing: the other one that we heard about, this one, he didn't reply directly to the Pro Tour. Actually, he tweeted it a little bit before Pro Tour announced their lead card. But Ricky Wysocki also said he is not likely to make the tournament. He expects to be practicing and making sure that he's really comfortable with his bag and ready for Vegas. Um, Now, here's the thing: All Star weekends can be one of the funnest things in any sport. We see a couple of sports do it really, really well, and a couple of sports do it very poorly.
Right.
Um, and we'll start with MLB. MLB has one of the best All Star weekends in all of big sports. And it's that way for a reason. Number one, they keep things fresh, they keep things interesting. The Home Run Derby is one of the most watched ESPN baseball events of the entire year.
Yeah. Most people don't watch baseball other
Yeah,
than
and,
that.
you
I'm
know,
kidding.
people
I'm kidding.
people love to
I'm
watch
kidding.
the Home Run Derby and the World Series, and that's their baseball for the year. That's
Yep.
what they
That's
watch.
yeah.
And
I enjoy watching the home run derby, and I enjoy following the playoffs. You know, and that's about it.
yeah,
But I'm kind of like that with like college basketball too. You know, it's like
yeah,
March Madness. All right, I'm in. Let me do a bracket. But
yeah.
other than that,
And the other one that does a really great job of making it a desirable event for the fans and for the players, because this is where we're going to kind of hit here in a second, is the player side, um, is the NBA. 3-point shootout, dunk
mm-hmm,
contest, both of those, so much fun to watch. The actual All Star game itself,
sucks.
eh,
There's no
whatever.
defense,
You
but
know,
it's
it's
stylish.
fun.
It's
It's fun to
fun.
watch
Yeah,
because of what you see. You're going to see
yeah,
people go out there and make plays that they would never in their life do in a real game.
right.
But it's fun to watch, and the most important thing for me that both of those leagues do is they make it a desirable event for players to attend.
Yes.
And this is where I'm going to go into the biggest league that has a failure on their All Star side, and that's the NFL. When we talk about the
Yeah.
Pro Bowl is not desirable. Most players, you know, that's outside of quarterbacks and maybe some wide receivers, every now and again, a good running back, players avoid the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
Um, the event isn't super hyped up. And I think one of the big things that you see, number one, is that the skills competitions that you see
Mm-hmm.
in baseball to watch the home run derby, super fun to watch. In terms of the actual game itself, it's much more competitive than you see normal games run. It's a little bit flashy. You're going to see a lot more swinging for the fences in a real game than you
Right.
normally would. You're going to see pitchers, because they only throw 1 or 2 innings at a time. They're going to, instead of throwing 95, they're going to be topping out and throwing 100,
Yeah.
because they don't have to pitch 80 or 90 pitches. They only have to pitch 20 pitches.
Exactly.
So you get a little bit of excitement, but it's competitive still in that game. The NBA is a little bit different, not quite as competitive, but you still get that really fun, flashy stuff to watch.
Yeah.
Um, and those do a great job of getting the players there and excited about the event. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they do it mid-season, because when you talk about an all-star event like this one, where it's at the very beginning of the season, players are either trying to get a last weekend or 2 weekends at home and enjoy their home before they go on a national tour that takes them
Right.
away from their home for 7 months at a time. Um, and if they're not doing that, then they're down in a wintering area like Florida or Arizona, which, we know that Arizona holds the All Stars. but they're out practicing and getting ready for the season and preparing. And it's not the best time, in my opinion, to do an all-star event. And the same thing with the NFL. When they do it at the very end of the season, they switched it. First, they did it after the Super Bowl. Um, People didn't care. The Super Bowl was over.
Right.
Fans didn't watch,
Yeah.
although player interaction was a little bit better then because number one, all the players that play in the Super Bowl cannot participate the week before the Super Bowl,
Exactly.
obviously. And then, number two, that, all these players who have been nursing minor injuries throughout the entire season are just like, I'm
Like
just going
it's
to
not
rest.
worth. Yeah, I
I'm,
need the
I'm just going
time
to
to heal
rest.
my body. Right.
Right. And,
But I do
football,
enjoy it. I do watch the Pro Bowl. I do like it, but I'm more of a football fan than anything else other than disc golf. You know,
right.
so the Pro Bowl is cool. Uh, it was actually really entertaining when they did the draft style, and
Yeah.
had players that are on the same team going against each other. But that got
Yeah.
shot down the very next year because uh, there was two Bengals players that absolutely lit each other up and got in trouble. You know, so
Um,
but yeah.
but yeah, so that's my thoughts on it. And what I'm going to ask you is, what do you think that disc golf needs to do to make the All Star event desirable
Um, for the players, I
for both?
think, uh, well, I think it's desirable for the fans either way. Any way you
Right.
look at it, disc golf community, disc golf fans, they love watching disc golf. You know,
Yeah.
so I don't think that they would have to do too much to get fan involvement. But the more players and the more high ranked players that are in it, the better viewership you're gonna get. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean,
you know,
nobody
everybody
wants to
wants
go
to
in
see their
and
favorites. You know, the fan
exactly.
favorites, the top rated players. Everybody wants to see them compete and do these things, and I think that the main thing to uh, to get those players in is money. I mean, money brings in the players. So if
Yeah.
you up the purse for the challenges, for the skill levels,
Yeah.
bring in the money, which I think an all star event sponsors cling to those pretty well. So
Yeah.
I think they just got to put themselves out there, get those sponsors in, and I think they'll do a great job in the next 2 to 3 years, getting more money, more sponsorship level stuff, and like potentially do something cool with like maybe like a tour card paid for and do different emphasized prizes and stuff like that.
Right.
And I think you'd get those players back. Um I'm
Chat's out here
checking
asking
chat.
where we're
Yep.
from.
So
Um,
you can go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead then. But I'm located in Middle Tennessee, um, in the Lebanon area, and I'll let you go ahead on.
I'm located just north of Knoxville,
Yep.
so gives ourselves a little bit of like an east-west dynamic here.
Yeah. Middle
So
East. Yeah.
east west.
I don't get on the west side too much, but I try to keep up with it as much as I can. How about
Yeah,
you?
absolutely. Yeah, where are you bouts? Yeah, I'd have to say, I think the skills challenges need to be focused on, especially because um, even in when you talk about like the NBA All Star Game, I would say the dunk contest has the better viewership. When you talk about it, people are going to
Hmm.
watch the dunk contest. People are going to watch a 3 point contest over the actual game, and I can honestly say that that's true because that's what I do. A lot of times I'll
Oh yeah.
turn on the All-Star game, but the All-Star game kind of just sits forgotten on my TV after about an hour or so.
Yep. I
Um,
agree.
Whereas the dunk contest, I'm watching till the end. I got
Yeah.
to know who
I'm
wins and
intrigued. I'm
what did
interested.
they do that was yeah.
Yeah. I love
So
that. Could you imagine though, like, the skills contests, because you could do there's so many options that you could do with disc golf. You know,
Like a
um,
big ace race challenge with a big
yeah,
purse,
you know,
um, distance competitions with a big purse.
mm-hmm. Get those high
There's
quality players out there, and really show off what they can do, you know,
right,
and have it money wise to where you don't that the players are not worried about injuring themselves
right,
for a low payout.
right,
That's what it all comes down to. They're like, is it worth my time and worth my efforts? You know, so
exactly. And I think you know, they do a little bit of it. Like the best shot, worst shot doubles that they kind of did a couple years ago, and stuff like that. But I'd
mhm.
really like to see like this is the time to use those underutilized formats because it's not a sanctioned event,
Right,
so you don't need
it's
to
open.
worry about that sort of stuff. So this is the kind of event where I'd love to see stuff like match play, you know,
Hmm.
even if you did like 6 hole spurts of match play, and then did a bracketing and everybody plays 20 holes by the end to get a champion, something like
You
that.
could totally do a
There's
speed round. Like, think about that. Like, that
Yeah,
would be so cool to see. Is like who can complete the hole the fastest. So
yeah, exactly.
it's a skills competition. You got to throw, you got to run, you got to get up there, you got to get set, you got to putt, you got to throw up. Whatever. Not like throw up,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean. Like upshot,
You got an upshot?
not up tuck. There's a difference. But yeah,
Yeah,
like
and
I've
it's a great format to like, one of my favorite things to watch when Worlds comes around is the mixed doubles,
Yeah, I
you
see.
know?
I don't even care. I would love to see mixed doubles on the All Star because that really it kind of like puts the spotlight on those FPO players when they're kind of
Right,
outdoing the MPO counterpart on these certain shots, and it gives them a chance to kind of shine. Like, wow, you know. For the people that don't
right.
really watch the FPO, they're like, "Who is this chick that's doing this?" And I really enjoy watching that.
Absolutely. Yeah,
We do pretty good with keeping up on both because we're honestly interested in both. But
yeah,
um, I just enjoy seeing the different styles put together. You know, um,
absolutely.
yeah, I would
And
love to
yeah,
see that.
and I think one of the things that I would like to see out of the All-Star weekend is move it to the middle of the year a little
Yeah,
bit. Get it to an event up in the north, during the summer, because one of the nice things about when you see the All-Star weekend in baseball and basketball is it's a break,
yeah.
for them. And it allows them, if you keep this all-star event within the tour lines and making sure that they're not going out of their way to travel to this, it's a great way for them to get in, do something fun for a few days while they're still throwing,
Imagine the
and
All Star
then
event being at Eagles Nest.
yeah,
Why
that'd be hot.
because everybody wants to play that course,
Yeah,
so that
yeah,
might bring in players too. Is if you do desirable places.
yeah, and that's just one of those things. Is I think disc golf almost treats the all-star weekend too much like baseball spring training,
Yeah,
where it's just kind of like, yeah, you get out there, you watch them, they have a little bit of fun, and we all go home and
yeah,
we wait for Vegas,
yeah.
you know. But I think moving it to the middle of the season and also bringing in a more of a fan vote system into how that kind of plays out, because it's also something that's really fun for players who do mid-season all stars votings, is
Right.
that your performance up to the mid-season is where you're really going to garner your votes,
Yep.
you know,
Yep. I
and that
agree.
that is also a propellant for you to know that you're playing well and you're being seen and people are noticing that you're playing well.
Yep. That would be great. I agree with
So
that.
just interesting stuff to think about.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that pretty much covers everything that we had for this week. Is there
Did
anything
you want
else
to
you'd
talk
like
about
to add?
the other Twitter drama?
You can if you would like.
Did you see too
Mm,
much of it at all
mm-mm.
with the Austin Hannum, who's always
He's
in the
always
middle
in the
of
Twitter
Twitter drama.
drama.
It's super funny to me because he came out this first of the year. He's like, I'm going to I'm gonna stay away from the hot takes, and I'm not gonna say anything
Yeah.
ridiculous. And here we are a few weeks later, and he's already deleting tweets and stuff like that.
Oh Lord, what did he
Um,
say? I didn't see it.
so the biggest Twitter drama going around right now, outside of All Stars, obviously, is the FPO player availability pools for these tournaments. I can't remember which tournament it was, but they were talking about there being only 14 FPO spots for the tournament, which is ridiculous. I'm going to be completely
Yeah.
honest. But I can't remember who did it, but they went so far as to start an actual petition after saying we just want to raise awareness for this. They went so far to start a petition and actually start garnering signatures against the PDGA,
Right.
um, and saying we uh,
We deserve more spots.
we deserve more spots. And you're not
Rightfully
wrong.
so. Yeah.
100% you are correct, but I don't think that the way that they went about that was super great.
Right.
But then there's also the players on the other side of the field where, like, basically what was getting Austin Hannum into a little bit of trouble was he was saying stuff like, you shouldn't bite the hand that feeds you. Um, you, and saying stuff like, you should be happy for what we're getting. And yes, maybe we need some more, but don't, we shouldn't be doing this like petition stuff and yada, yada, yada. And almost everything that he's posted about it has been deleted up to this point.
Right.
No surprise there. Um,
Prodigy. Prodigy's got their handful with him.
Oh my gosh. Hot take master
Yeah.
on the Twitter field.
But I
Which
mean,
was
when your play doesn't shine out, I guess you have to take the social media
yeah,
to stay relevant.
you have to do something. That's something I thought that was really funny was
Isn't
Brody posted.
he Kat's boyfriend?
I don't know. I don't keep
I
up with love lives too much.
I think that's Katrina Allen's boyfriend. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, we'd have to look it up.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
that'll be an
maybe I'm
interesting topic for
wrong,
next
but
week.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that like for a long time. Like I'm pretty positive.
Yeah, I just but yeah, that was something interesting. Obviously, FPO needs to be recognized a little bit better across
Yeah.
the sport. Um,
I think in the
but
coming 2 years it will be a lot more.
yeah, absolutely. But I think the part that we're kind of missing when we start doing stuff like signing petitions to get that stuff is you lose the camaraderie of the sport and you
Yeah.
start working against each other to fight for what you want as opposed to getting your heads together and having the important conversations. Um, you
Right.
know, conversations can only get you so far, and I understand that, but I mean, this literally went from Twitter complaining about it one day to the next day there being a petition. And that
Right.
tells me that they didn't take the time to have this conversation. It wasn't like we've talked to them about it, we've really asked for it, we asked them to modify this tournament. We wanted the TD and the people to open up more spots and blah 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 blah
Right.
blah. It really just went. We need more spots for FPO to petition instantly.
Yeah.
um, and I think it's important to remember that while that is correct, we want to do this in a good way, and not in a negative way,
Right.
as much as we can.
Yeah.
You know,
Anytime you can do it, um,
it's
with a
it's gonna fail
conversation,
sometimes.
it's good. But I know that they've been having issues since the past. I mean, in the past 2 3 years of
Yeah,
PDGA not really making a big deal about it and just kind of brushing it under the rug. So
yeah,
maybe they're just like, well, we can't talk to them because they obviously don't care, and then blah blah blah, and they just overwent, and you know, hopefully some good comes out of it, and everything gets solved, and that's the last we hear of it, and there starts being more FPO spots, and
yeah,
and maybe it was a good thing. Only time will tell.
yeah.
But I do
Katrina
agree.
Allen,
I
speaking of
bro,
Katrina
when
Allen,
is she gonna say when?
listen, we are now 5 weeks essentially from Las Vegas, as it were, and no announcement yet. meaning I don't know. I this makes me just continue to believe that she's going towards a mixed bag
I would
because
think so.
if she's signed somewhere right now and she's throwing one brand, um, she has to be practicing. There's no way she's not practicing right now unless she's going to take a break and take the early part of the season off, which is possible, but I don't see it happening.
Right.
And that to me tells me like maybe she's not hiding anything because she's throwing a mixed bag,
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, it's possible. I don't know. Maybe she's just going to run off winnings.
Yeah, I don't
I mean, it's
I
possible.
don't,
I mean,
I don't
Madison
know.
Walker did, you know?
Yeah,
So, um, mm, it is
I
possible.
don't know.
I, however,
I'm gonna be really suspicious if there isn't an announcement by next week, I think.
yeah, it's gonna, yeah.
If February 1st comes around and there's
But
not an announcement,
there's been a lot of things come out where she goes to Vegas wearing a jacket and then she pulls it off when they announce her on lead card and reveals her um
yeah,
reveals
but
her
okay, but
sponsor.
here's the thing
That would
is
be
Disc Golf Twitter has been so active with their speculation this year. Do you think that's even possible?
yes. I think it is
Because
possible because she's not
because
on social media.
yeah, but that doesn't matter. That all it means is that, somebody watched her out practicing and noticed what she was doing.
If she
Uh,
has been.
Chr- Chris was basically pegged for Discraft the day he announced his departure. They
Yeah.
they literally said, "I saw him throwing Discraft. I don't.
Yeah.
We don't need to say anything else. We saw it. It
Yeah.
happened." And for the most part, we've had a few of those come out this year where people, Ricky basically came out and said, "I haven't been able to get out and throw because
Yeah. And
I haven't been
technically
able
the
to."
Dynamic Disc store is the one that leaked it. You know what I mean? Like when
Right.
they showed those fusion orbit halo felons, and
Right.
it's
But
like,
but when
wait a
when
minute,
they
but is this
when
fan
they
made?
leaked it, it was yeah, when they leaked it, it was also one day before the announcement that
Right.
actually took place, not a couple weeks before,
Yeah.
um, where we saw, like with Chris Dickerson,
Well, that was still
um,
within a week
and
of his
uh,
signing.
Eric Oakley kind of. Well, yes, but it was also
Well,
within a
Eric
day of
Oakley's
his
disc
announced
was on
departure.
Infinite before he actually announced.
But people had made the correlation that hey, he's in town and he's basically near Infinite,
Yeah.
and people reported that. So how easily can you
But
if
nobody's
she goes
said anything about Cat.
yeah, so if she's practicing, um and she's a single brand, she's signed with a single brand, that I don't think that can be covered up for much longer.
Maybe.
I don't think she could make it all the way to
I
Vegas
do.
and
I do. There's so many
not be found
private
out.
courses that if she like, for instance, Kel LaVisca's course, right? If
Right.
she wanted to go out there a day, he shut it down, and uh, it is possible. And
It
if that did happen, that would be so hyped up. You understand what kind of hype
yeah.
there would be for
I
the
just don't
FPO's
see
card. That would be, which I could see Pro Tour doing for live. You know what I mean? Like
right.
it would be like huge. Do I see it
I just
happening?
don't
No. Would it be cool? Yes.
yeah, I just don't see it happening because like even with Kona, there were rumors that she had been seen throwing dynamic already,
Yeah.
you know. Um
There wasn't rumors of Ricky, but he wasn't throwing.
but yeah, he fully admitted I haven't had a chance to get out and
Yeah, he's like,
throw
I just because
anything.
paparazzi.
Um Andrew Marweed was a pretty hushed up thing.
Which it happened really quick. It
Yeah.
was like a 2 week span of, hey, I'm leaving Innova, and then within the next week and a half, he was signed with DGA as the face of DGA.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, I don't see her getting all the way to Las Vegas, being fully prepared for Vegas, and not having anybody in the world know. I
Yeah,
just don't see it.
yeah, that would be
It would
incredible if
it,
she
it
made it.
would
Like
be
it
yeah,
would be,
it would be spectacular.
it would be, it would be. But I agree, I don't see it happening either.
Um, Nico is starting to pop up a little bit more in the conversations as well because he's
Why
been posting a lot on Instagram and people are trying to like enhance the
enhance the
videos and see
images
what
and
he's
videos and
throwing and
yeah. I mean, in my opinion, I think he'll be throwing Innova. Um, Cat is with Innova. Cat Merch, which is his girlfriend. Um, I just think that they'll probably tour together in in a Innova van and
yeah.
call it a day. That's my take. I think they'll probably land him at Innova, which that definitely does not replace Ricky. Uh, but
No.
but
No.
he, you
He
know,
he would have to make moves this season to be competitive enough to.
doesn't didn't did Nico win a USDGC? USDGC?
No, Paul did.
No, not this year. I'm talking about has he won one? Nico's won something.
Um,
Something big. I don't remember what he's won. But I'm wondering if it's a major, because if it is a major, then he could be on a destroyer.
I'm pretty sure he has won a major.
I'm thinking he
Take a
has
look
as
real quick.
well.
Let's see. NT.
But supposedly Evelina's the one that's going to get the destroyer.
Yeah, that's possible.
She's 2018 European Open winner, I believe. At least that's been rumored that Evelina
he
destroyers were a thing.
he won a division of the 2010 Japan Open, which is a
Okay.
master or a major
Huh?
technically. And he won USDGC in 2009.
Okay, I thought he had won USDGC.
Yeah, I couldn't. I thought he had won one of them. I wasn't sure if it was Worlds or
Yeah,
USDGC.
I knew he hadn't won Worlds, but I was thinking that he had won USDGC. But
Yeah,
yeah,
so that was way back, but yeah, that's
it's
still
still
would
a
give
major.
him a. So yeah, so what I was kind of listening in. So what they call them is signature discs. You have your
Mm-hmm.
tour series, and then when you've won a major, that's when you start getting into the signature discs like the
Right.
Excalibur and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so technically, yeah, he could have a signature disc. Um, for any of you guys who don't know what a signature disc is, that's basically when Innova has a major champion, and they actually put it on their base stamp and
Right.
run that as their primary mold.
Yep.
Um, so like Ricky was a signature series for the
Destroyer.
Destroyer, the Star Destroyer specifically.
Yep.
Um,
Nate Sexton was the Excalibur. Um, and Germ, he won 2016 USDGC, but he does not have a signature series discs, does he? His tour series is the
I
Thunderbird.
yeah, I'm not sure. I would have to look.
Yeah, that's
The only problem with Jerem is he has an asterisk next to his name on that one, which
yeah,
is
it is, but it's still a win. It still
technically
is
yeah,
a win, you know. And he was. It's not like it was with the whole rain delay at Ledgestone, where Kyle Klein was actually leading when they canceled it.
right.
Um, he was leading by 2 strokes, you know, on
And
that day, and they
then
canceled the next
they
round
canceled the final
before
round because of
anybody even played. You know,
yeah,
it got canceled that night before. So
yeah, because they were fully aware when they went into that tournament as well that there was a
there is
chance
a
they would not
possibility, right?
play that final round because of tropical storm, whatever
Yeah.
it was. But yeah, yeah. So technically, Nico would be eligible for a signature disc based on what we know
But that
on Innova
technically means that
standards.
Germ would be too. I just
Yeah,
don't.
and but again,
I
I
don't see
don't
him
know
on
that
a
he's not
Thunderbird
on one.
and a Destroyer. I don't think he has a signature series disc though, unless it would be like. I mean, I could see him on the AVR X3 because he's a huge um, thrower of the AVR X3. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay, he has a signature series Millennium disc.
Oh,
The mortar. I forgot about the mortar.
I don't even ever hear him throwing that.
He hasn't thrown it in a long time, I don't think.
Hmm, that's weird.
Yeah, because it's a mid range,
Yeah, I know the
and then he has his
disc.
his tour series Thunderbirds, obviously.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't.
yeah,
So
I
I
don't
guess
know.
so. That's
German
that's his
birds
sig. That's technically a signature series disc, though.
is the mortar. Okay,
Yeah.
that is. I didn't know that. Or did not.
Yep.
But
Well,
now we know.
I think that's all we got for you this
Yep.
week, guys.
It sure is, and we really do appreciate everybody tuning in. Hopefully, we will have this stuff up on your listening broadcasts, softwares. You know, Spotify, Google Play, Apple. Hopefully, very soon. As soon as we get it
Yep.
all figured out, we will get it up. These will be going on YouTube as well. Make sure to follow us at Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We got it all.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and we will this weekend, come Saturday morning, we will post um the PDGA live score tracker for the tournament.
yep,
So if you guys want to follow along and see how we're playing, that will be available for you guys.
yep, it sure will be. And hopefully we can get some more content out for you guys with Mr. Bacon coming down um,
Yeah,
this weekend.
hoping we
That'll,
can do just a little, at the very least, a good practice round video for you
yeah,
guys. Maybe split it up into a couple of videos,
yep,
show you guys what we do on Friday prepping for the tournament,
yep.
and then start
Believe
doing some challenges.
that will be great. I can't wait for that. But with that being said, we appreciate you guys. We really do, guys and girls. And y'all have a wonderful night and a great day tomorrow, whenever you may listen to this. Have a great day every day. And we will see you
All right.
guys later. And y'all have a good one. Thank you guys.
Peace.
Peace.